Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Tom?
Lionel?
Tom?
Lionel?
Is this the first podcast? Hey, have you recently finished a really cool model of structure?
I have. I finished one today, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah? What was it?
It was the manufacturer is called Wit and Wisdom Models, and it was a model of the Nighthawks Cafe, which is based on a very famous Edward Hopper painting called Nighthawks. It's the four people in the diner late at night. So I now have that scene, or that building rather, in HO scale on my layout.
Perfect. What's it called? Wit and Wisdom Models?
Wit and Wisdom Models is the name of the manufacturer.
Right.
And the Nighthawk Cafe is the name of the kit.
So how did you find Wit and Wisdom Models?
It was in an ad in Craftsman.
No, Railroad Model Craftsman.
Correct.
Who, who's the editor of that? Our very own Otto Vondrak.
Yep.
Wow, I've never... See, this is what's wrong with this hobby now. It's so cool and so big. It's like, you don't even... Everything is like, wow, so how much was this kit?
I think it was like $100.
Oh, really?
Somewhere around there, yeah. They have two different versions. They have they have one that's just the cafe.
Oh yeah, there it is.
And then they have one that is it's the cafe plus some buildings around it to make like a whole little scene, and that's more expensive.
Yes, the scene. This kit includes the cafe building, fabricated background buildings, street, sidewalk, and mirror. Includes signage, cafe interior details, and custom sculpted figures. Since the kit is designed either for street level or custom to fit a space, no railing, stairs, bridge, lower, blah, blah, blah. That's $210, but if you buy just the cafe, that's $120.
That's the one that I bought.
And they have it in O scale, S scale. Can you hear that, Spoon? They got it in S scale, H, O, and N. Ah.
It's very neat. I mean, the little figures are 3D printed. The countertop is 3D printed. All the countertop is one piece with the little salt and pepper shakers and the napkin dispensers and all of that. It's very highly detailed, and it's a very well engineered kit.
Yeah, and that's the only thing they have right. That's the only kit they have right now. Is either this this particular kit, is this Nighthawks Complete Scene Cafe, or just the Nighthawks Cafe alone?
Yep.
And explain to me again what exactly is Nighthawks again?
It's a very famous painting by Edward Hopper, who was an American artist in the early half of the 20th century. It's a very famous painting. It's been parodied by many people. You know, that scene of the four people in the diner late at night. You know, there have been Star Wars versions of it. There have been Simpsons versions of it. It's a very iconic scene. And actually, the whole genesis for the kit was that John Armstrong, the world famous model railroader and track planner, he actually scratch built a model of the cafe and had in O scale, and had it on his Canandaigua Southern layout. And there was a really well done article in Model Railroader back in the I guess the early 80s, I think it was, and about how he used fine art techniques in terms of composition and angles and things like that to lay out and build this building. So it was a really good article. And then I guess this Wit and Wisdom Models company got permission to look at his model somehow and
Really?
use it as the basis for their kits.
Oh, that's cool.
In case somebody wants to look at the articles from the January '89 issue of Model Railroader.
Wow, look at that. There is like way too much to do in this hobby. You know what? That'll be the first question to tonight's guest. Is there way too much to do in the hobby? When he comes in from the green room, that's the first.
Sounds like a plausible first question.
Plausible. Is this the first podcast since the last podcast, or did I already ask that?
You asked that of Tom, and then you jumped right into his model.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even. I didn't. Did I give?
You didn't give him a chance to respond.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this the first one? How about that model you built? Whoa, easy.
Yeah, I'll speed it up.
I felt like I was on 60 Minutes or something.
Yeah.
Grilled by Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace and Martin, whatever his name was.
I think that's the way Gordy felt the other day when we were interviewing him. We interviewed Gordy Robinson, and I walk, and I mean, of course, Gordy's great, and he's going to do a spectacular job in the NMR. I don't know, it tripped a switch when he said he got in there and he discovered there was no national convention planned after 2023. So, he hustled around and there's a couple of bids now. And I'm thinking, yeah, no kidding, because you're going to friggin' fix everything just because of the way he is. But he was trying to sell the NMRA. I think that's what got to me, Bruce, is he spent the first hour trying to sell the NMRA. And I was like, man, you don't need to sell nothing. Your actions are going to speak louder than his actions are going to speak louder than words. He is going to make he's already got the digital magazine started, and he's just going to be great. All right, let's get, tonight, Tom, we're going to have Jerry Britton on.
Oh, okay.
He's the guy he doesn't live that far from you, does he?
Oh, about an hour or so. Not too terribly far.
Yeah. So if hey, you know what happens on Monday, don't you?
Monday's November 1st.
Yeah. And then
I have to make some phone calls.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're I think that's what you're insinuating there. I have to make some phone calls and send some emails about some fun and frolic for next July.
And you don't have to. Let's be clear. You're not under any pressure to. But we'll probably be doing
But if you don't, there'll be incessant whining from a certain party on the
Right.
Yeah,
you've been bugging me for the past 2 months, but I don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to do it, but we'll make you wish you did.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Because we'll probably record another episode of Viewer Mail next week after November 1st, maybe like on the Tuesday or Wednesday. And I bet you one of my first few questions will be, hey, Tom. It's like November the 3rd. Did you call him?
I think I'm washing my hair that night.
All right, let's get our buddy Jerry Britton in here.
You want me to go get him?
Yeah, would you
yes,
please?
Sir.
All right. Hey Jerry, come on out. Put down the shrimp. That one's no good. Come on,
right.
We're ready for you.
Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
Hey, you got that's a pretty good sound you got there, Jerry. Did you get a new headset?
I have a brand new headset imported from Canada.
No.
Amazon?
Amazon, yeah.
Amazon, yes.
It was typed in. The address was typed in from Canada.
There you go.
But that's as far as Canada was.
Doorbell rang, found a box, and I'm like, what did I order from Amazon?
Surprise.
And doesn't it sound great?
It does. It does sound good.
And
Thank
you. And you know who the first
clear as a bell.
And you know who the first person was to test out that exact headset that you're wearing?
Other than yourself?
I never tested it out.
Would that be the Queso Cowboy?
That's right, man.
Really?
Absolutely. He was the first guy to get it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I sent you I sent you a couple of them, didn't I?
I got 2 of them, and this is the one. This is actually the more comfortable of the 2. So I've always been just using this one.
Yeah, and so then based on your satisfaction, that became the headset that I started to send out to people. Tony.
So what you're saying is I'm an influencer.
Yeah.
It's 00 approved.
It's 00 approved. Queso Cowboy. AKA 0013, the secret agent. Tony Custer has one of those headsets based on your say-so.
Wow.
I know, exactly. Actually, he had one of the other ones, and it crapped out because Kelly was telling him how to use it. Anyways, all right. So, Jerry, can you move your microphone 1/4 of an inch closer to your mouth?
How's that, Lionel?
That's beautiful. So what's news, Jerry? So what, Jerry Britton, tell us what it is you model. Let's remind everybody exactly who you are. You live about an hour from Tom. If we'll on Friday we'll be doing our original, kind of some sort of an original tour like we thought about. Hey, Tom, for Tom Stock Friday, Tom Stock.
Yep, I think we have that's the plan.
Yeah, so we'll stop in front of Jerry's house with a busload of people.
Great.
Maybe 2 busloads.
That's fine. That's fine. So I model HO scale, modeling the Pennsylvania Railroad in the 1950s as their 4-track main line passes Lewistown, Pennsylvania. And there's an intermediate yard there, which serves multiple branch lines. And the branch lines will be used in the operating sessions for the switching.
So the branch lines will be used for switching. How big is this layout?
It doesn't use all the space, but the overall room size is about 30 by 32.
Oh, really? So it's a good size layout. Is it like around the wall? You say it doesn't use all the space. Is it like around the wall or what?
Yeah, it's around the wall, and I had to deal with a U-shaped staircase coming down in the wrong place, and the furnace being in the wrong place, and all that stuff. So there's a lot of wasted space, but I'm making good use of it.
Okay. And so did you draw this plan up yourself, or?
I did, but I based it largely on valuation maps that are available and Sanborn fire maps, which are now in the public domain. So they gave me very detailed plans of how the prototype was laid out.
So let's explain to people exactly what are Sanborn fire maps.
So I don't know when they started. It was back in the 1800s. I've seen them as early as like 1880 or so. But there were a number of companies that produced fire maps, and Sanborn was one of them. And what they did is they would go out to your larger cities and towns and create maps of all the showing where all the structures are, and then they document how many floors there are to a structure, what it's constructed, like is it frame, is it brick, is it concrete, that sort of thing. If there's a night watchman, like if it's an industry, they'll note if there's like a white night watchman, if there's a water tower on site. And the whole purpose of this was so that insurance companies, when they were going to underwrite insurance for a business, they could reference these maps to see exactly what the environment was like. So today they are very valuable for model railroaders in that they give you the dimension information of the structures that in many cases are no longer there. They're not very good at providing detail on the railroads, and for that we rely on valuation maps.
And the guy that invented them, Lionel, he and his kid later on they had a junk business in California.
Yeah.
What was that show called?
Sanborn and Son.
That's right. There you go. Yeah. Look at that. Look at you using references of old shows. Old.
Yeah,
old
Rich Wisniewski won't like that one.
No,
he'll be right in to complain that you're using a younger audience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Come on, Rich.
It's the big one. Elizabeth.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm coming, Elizabeth.
What year was that show on? That was the late 70s.
That was the 70s. Yeah,
That'd be 70s with All in the Family and the Jeffersons.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Our buddy Tony Cook, the editor of Model Railroad News, has been binging on the Archie Bunker. What was it called?
All in the Family.
Yeah, exactly. So anybody that's looking to see Jerry's anything they'd like to hear about Jerry, if they go to PenzieRR.com, boom, you're right at Jerry Britton's PRR middle division in HO scale.
You got it. And there's plans on there for the layouts. You can see how it's laid out.
All right. So how do we find the plans? Engineering department?
It's underneath the public relations menu.
See, employee relations operating department.
All the way to the left.
Pennsylvania Midland. Oh, public relations. Left. I know what they. I was just checking.
The other left.
The other left.
Yeah, other left.
Okay. Description and design.
Yep.
All right, boom. All right, so then I scroll down. All right, there it is. You got a ton of stuff on your web. Like
I do.
A ton of stuff. So is this a 2-level layout?
3 actually, but the middle level is only on one side.
3-level?
Yeah, so I have the main line and the Lewistown yard on the lowest level, and then there's a like a 30-foot run down the one side of the room that's only about 8 inches above the staging yard, and that is the Lewistown secondary. And then the third level, which goes all the way around the room, is.
All right. So this plan that I'm looking at here, what levels is it showing?
So the first one, as you're scrolling down, you'll see the lower level with the main line, and a little further on is the middle level with the Lewistown secondary, and below that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you keep scrolling. There's other plans. Look at that.
And then down at the very bottom, there's a composite that shows all the levels superimposed on each other.
And I like how when you click on it, the thing blows up and you can see it really, really clearly.
Yep.
And I can see it really, really clear because today I got new glasses. These are better than my $6 Costco glass. Pretty cool. Oh, this is a cool plan. Did you draw this plan yourself?
I did. I actually had the layout 90% constructed before I actually did the plans.
That's a good way to do it.
Now, I'm real good with spatial relations, so I designed it in my head, and knowing the radiuses that I needed and stuff like that, I was able to build a nearly flawless. I made very, very few adjustments, but in order to get the civil engineering AP for the NMRA, you have to provide a track plan. So I had to finally break down and do a track plan. And the thing about that is, I said, hey, if I'm going to do this, I want it to look good. And all these programs that are out there that have, a lot of them have fairly steep learning curves. And then once you're into it, it's fine. But I was having a conversation with, I'm trying to think of the guy's name. It'll come to me. Oh, it's the guy that designed your layout, Tom.
Oh, Bob Sprague.
Bob Sprague. So I reached out to Bob. I emailed him. I said, what program do you use? He goes, I use Mac Draft. Well, my main computer at home is a Macintosh. I use a MacBook Pro. And like 30 years ago, I sold computers, and I sold the application Mac Draft to people, and I knew how to use it. I thought they'd been out of business for 25 years. Lo and behold, they're still out there, and that's what Bob uses. So I looked him up. Wasn't a very intuitive find on Google, but when I finally hooked up with him, bought it right away, downloaded it, and shortest learning curve you could expect. So I was in business pretty quick, and I did that for my AP in civil engineering.
How many AP certificates do you have?
6.
So are you a master model railroader?
Nope, got to have 7.
Oh,
I've got one. I'm in the middle of doing the 7th, and I've been stuck there for about 3 years. I've just had too many diversions.
What is the 7th one? Well, I guess why don't you? Which ones do you have, and what's the last one that you're working on?
So I did scenery, author, and that was a real easy one because I got half the credit for my website because I have a lot of information articles out there for people to read. Civil engineer, dispatcher, electrical engineer, and I'm missing one. Can't think offhand of what the other one is. Oh, was association volunteer.
Okay, there you go. So, and then now what's the one you're working on now?
Rolling stock.
Okay, and what you have to build like 7 pieces of rolling stock.
You have to build 8, and at least 4 of them have to be scratch built. Now, the interesting thing is you can build 4 of the same thing. You have to have a total of 5 different types of models. So, for instance, for me, I don't see myself as a good scratch builder. Craftsman kits are different, but a true scratch build, what they'll let you do is you can like build one master, make a casting of it, and then pump out a bunch of resin copies or whatever, and that counts. So I need to do 5 different types total. 4 of the 8 have to be judged and get a merit award, which is like, off the top of my head, I think it's like 70 points out of 125.
87 and a half.
87 and a half,
87
thank you.
and a half. Just to clarify for your car certificate, it's 8 models required, 4 different types, 4 have to be scratch built, 1 has to be a passenger car. The non-scratch built ones have to be, they can be kits or kit bashed, whatever. But they have to be modified and detailed so to be like a merit worthy, but you don't need to have them judge. But you just can't take a kit and a simple kit and put it together. You have to add detail and things like that to it. That's what they're looking for.
Right. They're looking for craftsman quality stuff.
Yeah.
Now, Bruce, you should have your master model railroad.
I'm working away. I've got 3 to do. I'm working on motive power, structures, and cars.
Okay. And
You're a brave man doing motive power.
Actually, it will work out not too bad for what I want to do.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I've already been in touch with Mr. AP chairman himself about a couple things, and he said what I'm looking at would easily qualify, and then I've got something for the scratch boat one in mind, so away we go with some World War I stuff.
Wow.
Ooh.
I got to find my operations certificate. You never gave it to me.
I gave it to you. Come on.
I don't know where it is.
It was hanging on your wall down there, wasn't it?
It is not hanging on my wall. I'll go check. I'll go check it again.
I thought it was hanging on the wall.
No, you never gave it to me. What I have author and I have operations, I think.
You have author and dispatcher, yeah.
Yeah, author and dispatcher, yeah.
Yeah.
I should have had somebody come in and look at my layout before I took it. Oh, well.
How much is left up still?
Not very much.
Okay. 32 square feet?
I was going to say, scenery.
Yeah, exactly. Scenery. Okay, how much time do you spend on your website?
Well, that you're looking at 20 years of work. I mean, I literally started that back in 95, 96 because I wanted to learn how to do website programming. I'm just a geek like that. It's not for my profession. It's just on the side. And I pondered a couple different topics and decided to make one on the Pennsylvania Railroad. And today, the content's gone beyond that, in that I am documenting, I call them interchange articles. So I'm a Pennsy modeler, but if I want to accurately model interchange, there's certain ratios you have to have of foreign freight cars in your fleet. And when you say, okay, I need to have, say, 8 ATSF reefers or something like that out of the whole fleet of reefers that I have, then the next step is I want them to be accurate for the time. So what I'm documenting in my interchange series is the appropriate paint schemes for foreign railroads, so that they're all time based. So if you go into the interchange series on the website, it'll list, like for ATSF, what changes were made to the paint scheme year by year. And I'm doing that. There's probably 120 of those articles in there now for different railroads.
Where do you find the interchange series?
Okay, so if you go back to the main PensyRR.com,
Yeah.
and there's 4 tiles there, and on the right side top is the Pensy modeler.
Back. So the main page is a picture of you and episode 97, right? Is that the main page? No, that's not the main page.
No,
hang on. Okay, I found it. And all I had to do was click on PensyRR.com. Were you surprised when you got that URL, PensyRR.com?
not back in 1995. But PRR.com was actually taken. I forget now what it was. It wasn't railroad related. It was another business. But yeah, so I just had to improvise a little bit. But yeah, if you're there with the 4 tiles, and in the upper right, there's logos for a couple of railroads. And if you click on the PRR railroad there, the Keystone.
All right, now I'm not. Let's see where I am right now is I see Jerry Britton's middle division. I see the Pensy modeler with a map.
Yep, that's where you want to go.
Okay, Pensy modeler with a map. Okay.
Yep.
And then there's 4. There's a bunch of different.
Yep. So not quite at the top, but over towards the left side, there's a couple of horizontal lines. It's an icon for menus.
All right.
And if you go to that, and under there it says Pennsylvania Railroad, and under that it says Interchange Series.
Wow, look at that! This is a very what's the word? Not complex.
Comprehensive.
Comprehensive website. I highly recommend everybody go to. So it's jbritton.pensyrr.com, but pensyrr.com would work, wouldn't it?
Yep, that gets you there too.
Pensyrr, PENNSYRR.com. And
Correct.
com is spelled COM.
Yep.
Wow, this is a very comprehensive website. And you just do you work on it at all nowadays?
Oh yeah. In fact, I just updated some of the interchange articles this week. I'll put in like a hour here, hour there stuff.
It's a fun thing for you to do.
Yep.
Cool. Do you still have your website going, Tom?
It's still out there. I still pay to host it, but it's pretty dormant now. I haven't updated it in probably 2 years. I've been having some issues with the technology. It would take a lot of effort to upgrade it to current technology and all of that. So, and with everything I've been doing on the cross line, I just don't have the time. What I eventually would like to do is port a lot of the information from reddingmodeler.com. I'd like to port that over to my Facebook page. Some of the files and the information and things like that. I'd like to just port it over there, and that way it would still be there.
You have a Facebook page for the Crossline?
I do.
That's a heck of a good idea.
Yeah, it's a very good idea.
Jerry, do you have any kind of Facebook presence, or is this what your internet web presence is? Is this website?
There is a layout Facebook page, and back when you started that grid at PenCRR.com, when you go to Jerry Britton's middle division and HO scale, when you go there, the page that you land on has a like us on Facebook page or icon. And you click on that, and that'll take you to the Facebook. And basically, the differentiation between the two is the website contains all the permanent content, and then the Facebook page gets all the minor updates that I really don't need to keep forever. Like, this is what I did today, kind of like what Tom does with his hour a day posts.
Okay.
So I do those on Facebook, but then the permanent content is on the website.
Your hour a day thing, Tom, is very, very popular.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
You are leading a movement, Tom, with that.
I really never intended to.
Well,
so
you are now, so you better stick with it, buddy.
Oh, I am.
So, Tom, the other thing I'll throw out there, I mean, with Facebook, I don't know if you can serve files or anything like you did from Redding Modeler. I also have a website for the alphabet route, which included a half dozen railroads, including the Redding. And if you want to migrate any of that content there, I'd certainly welcome it. And for that matter, I can make you an editor of it.
Yeah, I'm aware of that site. Some of my stuff had been linked from there early on.
And yeah, the guy that I didn't actually do the maintenance of that one, another guy did, and I just hosted it. And he is moving to the Caribbean. So, I mean, granted, they can get the internet there, but he's not going to be editing it moving forward.
I did not know that.
Why?
Yeah,
because he's going to be so busy in the Caribbean.
He's had he's had some health issues, and he had to disable his railroad about 8 months ago. So it's all gone, and I think December 1st they close on our new place down in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Oh, okay. Well, he'd be one. I bet you he's not the only model railroader in the U.S. Virgin Islands. They're all over. Us model railroaders, we're all over the place.
Like goo.
Like goo, yeah, exactly. So I'm looking here on your Facebook page, and it says you got hit by lightning.
Yeah, it was a shocking event.
No, I get it. Electricity, shocking, and okay, lightning strike. Oh, I get it now. I see what you did there.
Yeah, I can't get anything past you.
So when was that?
So it was August 8th, I think it was. And the kicker was, November is like Model Railroad Open House month, and I was going to have an open house, and I was looking at operations in December, and then this daggone storm came through, and we're sitting in the family room watching the evening news at 6:30, and the dog's going crazy because she hears thunder, and she doesn't like thunder. all of a sudden there is a gigantic flash and just an explosion. And from the angle my wife and I were at, we actually thought it was 2 houses down. We knew it was close. We thought it was 2 houses down. And, after about 10 minutes when the front got past, I went out to look because they weren't home. The people that lived down there, they were at the beach. We wanted to make sure their house was okay. So the neighbor came out and he and I walked up the street. Didn't see anything. And we're like, well, this had to be close. Where the heck was it? So we come back down through the backyards, finally get a tree in my yard. And there's all this bark laying on the ground. And I'm looking down at this bark. I'm like, that's really strange. And then I noticed that the bark actually had wood on it. It had like a, half-inch thick bark, but then it had like a half-inch of wood connected to it. And that is like, what the heck? And I look up, and there's just this huge patch of the bark stripped off the tree, like 20 feet up, and a giant crack in the tree. So that was ground zero. And I think what happened was where I was sitting in the family room, it hit behind me, and I saw the reflection on the backside, on the inside of my glasses. So the way it reflected, I thought it was in a different direction, but it was in the backyard, about 50 feet from the house. And the story about the bark, I found out later, is basically what happens when the lightning comes down the inside of the tree. That half inch of wood inside the tree, that's where the sap layer is. I always thought it was between the wood and the bark, but it's inside the next ring. And the lightning superheats that sap. So basically you have a steam explosion. And it just blows the bark right off the tree. And I found pieces of it like 30 feet away and a whole pile of it right there at the bottom. And this was a 70-foot tree that was about 18 inches in diameter. And I had to have somebody come in and cut it down because it wasn't going to stand much longer. But the TV went out, and basically everything in the TV cabinet got fried. The modem, the router, the DVR, the television. But everything else that was electric that was on that circuit was still running, and the breaker didn't go. So I was pretty sure in that instance that it came in through the actual TV cable. So, a couple hours go by, and I went downstairs for something. And in fact, I went over to the counter where all my DCC command stations and that stuff are. And I had four power supplies, 4 or 5 amp power supplies, and one of them, I noticed that the on-off toggle switch on the front of it was laying down in front of it. It was not on the box anymore. It was laying on the table. And I said, "Oh, wonder what that's doing there. Wonder what happened here." I thought maybe it just something bumped it and it got broken off or something. So I forget now what I was intending to do, but I reached up and turned the layout on. And I have some amp meters, some of the DCC specialties amp meters that show you the current going to each track section. And I also have DCC specialties make circuit breakers. They were all in line for each level. Well, instead of sending current to the layout, they started smoking. And I'm like, I don't think this is good.
Yeah, electricity and smoke is usually a bad sign.
So I turned it off and took another look at the one power supply that had the switch broken. And I picked it up, and that's when I noticed it has a fuse that screws into the back of it. Well, the fuse housing got totally blown out of the back of that cabinet. And if I shook the power supply, I could hear stuff rattling inside. Another thing, it wasn't good. So I had the ramp meters weren't displaying anything. I tested a couple things with power on those circuit breakers, and only one was smoking, but clearly I had some damage. I also noticed a piece of plastic that's about maybe 1 by 4 inches. It was green, and I picked it up and flipped it over, and it had a yellow sticker on it. It said Barrett Hill, which is a company that makes a product called touch toggles for manual control of switch machines. And I'm like, what the heck is this doing here? I mean, was that packaging? And I couldn't think of what it was. And I turned around and looked, and about 10 feet behind me was one of my local panels, and the controller for these things had totally blown apart. So I'm like, oh, this thing got into a bus there or something. It got into one of my power bus, and who knows where it went. And started looking around, and I found another local panel that when I looked at the controller for that, it had the wires, when they connect to them, are these little plastic, easily removable press-on things. Like there's like a piece of plastic, and there's two screws for the leads that go to the switch machine. But then that whole assembly just pushes onto two posts on the controller. Some of those were blown off of the controller, and the plug that brings the power, 15 volt, into that controller, the plug was totally gone. It was blown apart in pieces. Couldn't even find the pieces. The wood that it was mounted on was scorched. So there was a bit of an explosion there.
So it kind of just fried the layout. Period. End of sentence.
Yeah, it was. It obviously went through the accessory bus that fed all the local panels, and basically every one of those controllers was fried.
Wow.
It not only went through my other power districts, but it went on the rails. I had 18 locos on the rails, and 5 of them were fried.
Jeez, really?
I had 6 throttles plugged into throttle jacks. 4 of them got fried.
So you had to go around testing everything first to see what was working and what wasn't.
Yeah, and the insurance company was great because some of this stuff is wired in series. So you could have 4 components in a row until you get to the last thing. And rather than, say it was all fried and potentially face fraud, if it wasn't fried, I said, look, I got to do one tier at a time, see what is fried, what isn't fried, replace it, then go to the next tier and see what's happening. So my biggest fear, though, was if the tortoise switch machines got fried. So one of the early tests I did, even though all the switch machines were controlled either by the Barrett Hill toggles that I knew were fried or by stationary decoders, I went ahead and hot wired a way to test a couple of the tortoises. And I tested 10 of them. All 10 of them worked. So I felt pretty confident. So then I started, swapping out the components at the beginning of those connection chains. But the reason I did that is I've got about 200 tortoises. And had I found that the tortoises were fried, I probably would have ripped the layout down and been done.
Right.
At my age, I don't have it in me to get under a layout, looking up and stretching and dealing with 200 tortoises. I just can't do it.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of work. That would have been very demoralizing.
Yeah, so there was at some point you were thinking RC aircraft might be the way to go.
No, you know what I was thinking? Get rid of all of it and buy a damn boat.
Oh, there you go.
I started looking at boats online, to tell you the truth. That's how bad it was.
You were that close.
I was devastated. I was ready to jump off the curb, I'll tell you. But when I finally got myself to test the tortoises, I calmed down a little bit, and the main power supplies weren't too expensive, so I got them swapped out. And the really cool thing, I obviously had good insurance, and it's reasonably priced, and I'll give a shout out. It's Erie Insurance, but they paid replacement value, and one of the boosters that I still had in use was 20 years old. All of my detection boards were from my N scale layout. I got, they were replaced totally new.
So can you give us an idea of how much money how much financial damage there was, roughly?
Just on the layout, I've had 3 claims now, and I'm definitely over 10,000.
Holy mackerel.
Wow.
Just in electronics. And I'm going to have one more claim, but it's going to be fairly minor, and then I'll be done. But it set me back 3-4 months till it's all said and done. I mean,
well, sure, yeah.
I'm 2 months in now, and I still got a lot of work to do.
And how do you feel? Like you're saying about you're pretty demoralized. Like, are you feeling pretty good about the fact that you've replaced all this stuff and you're gonna keep forging ahead?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely forging ahead at this point. Like I started in the story, I was like, this close to having an open house and operating. The Pennsylvania Railroad Technical and Historical Society has their annual meeting in Harrisburg right near me in May. So the goal is, okay, I definitely want to have that open house. I want to be open for Tom stock. So then the question is, when do I get to operations? Maybe as early as February. But I think it'll probably end up being more about the same time as the open house in May.
Right. And like, is all the track on the layout done? Like, is the layout is like is how like is it like is the layout pretty much operational sand scenery kind of thing, or once you get all the stuff repaired? I mean,
so the top level, 80% of the track is in. It's totally operational except for a steel plant that I have to put the track in yet. That middle level, the Lewistown secondary, all the track is in except for the sidings. The turnouts are already there and they're already electrified. The main level, all the track is in. Some of the scenery is in. Once I recover from this lightning stuff, then I'm ready to really hit the scenery pretty hard. As far as recovery, at this point, I've got the track power restored to like 90% of the layout, and detection is only used on the main level, and that's 60% done.
Have we ever had a super fan that Tom? Have we ever had a super fan who's where the guy's layout got fried by lightning? That would be almost qualify you to be a super.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're the first, if you're the first guy,
if you're the first person to blow up your layout,
just call me Gomez.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, it certainly is something to. I don't want to say it's something to aspire to, but
no.
God, I'm tongue tied tonight.
Oh, yeah.
The recovery, the effort involved to rise from the almost literal ashes, so to speak, is definitely commendable.
Yeah, and if you're worried about being tongue tied tonight, don't let it concern you, because you're really not that good on any of the podcasts.
Oh, all right.
That's not true. I'm joking, and you know that.
Equally crazy, 8 days after we got hit by lightning, the tree in the front yard of our neighbors across the street got hit and knocked it down. So we're talking the two trees are only like 120 feet apart.
Wow.
8 days apart.
Is there any way, like, have you discovered through all of this, is there any way to protect the layout from this happening, like such a thing happening?
No. I received a lot of support, over Facebook and mailing lists and stuff like that. And I really appreciate that. And I had a couple people say, "Oh, you need a whole house surge protector." And, a surge is like when somebody runs their car into a telephone pole and the power blips and does stuff like that, or a transformer explodes. Lightning is an explosion. When you're at ground zero, you don't hear thunder. You just hear a boom. It's an explosion.
Okay.
And the amperage and the voltage is so high that, and I've had insurance people tell me, I don't know if you get into this, but I guess your health insurance.
Yeah, a little different.
When people get hit by a lightning, it's a different thing.
But there was an insurance adjuster that just posted something on another guy's layout page that he's reviewed like a 1,000 or so model railroad claims, and he said, yeah, a whole house surge protection is not going to help you. It's going to blow right through that. And the other thing, in my case, I know upstairs it came through the TV cable. Downstairs, I'm 90% sure it did not come through the electrical supply. It came in the back way. And the reason I say that is about all my layout is all connected to one plug. And, I've got a chain of surge protectors going around the layout. I had unplugged it somewhere in the middle at one point because I had to plug something else in. The worst field damage that I had were some detection boards and a local power supply and a local surge protector that got totally blown out, and they weren't even plugged in.
Really?
They weren't connected to everything else.
They weren't even plugged into the electrical system.
Right. So this charge got into the buses, made its way around the layout, and fed back to that. And that had to be because of the force of what it did there and how much damage was right there. I think the source was somewhere near that. And I've got places where I have L brackets bolted into the cinder block that are supporting plywood for the railroad.
Right.
It could have come in there and arced.
Right.
This insurance adjuster that posted online, he said he's seen lightning arc as much as 6-8 inches from an outlet over to. He used an example of a guitarist that had their guitar unplugged, and they left the plug laying about 8 inches from the outlet, and it arced and destroyed a $1,500 guitar. So in other words, there's no point in anybody having a discussion about how do we protect our layouts from a lightning strike, because you're not going to do it. Once the lightning decides it's going to come in, it's coming in whether you like it or not. Wait, when you're at ground zero, all bets are off.
Right.
Now, if it's a block away, probably different. But there's a guy by the name of Ken McCory. You may have heard his name. I know you have, Tom.
I have, sure. He has a beautiful layout.
Yep. And he was talking to me about this, and and he too said, whole house surge protection isn't going to help you. And he says the other problem you have is when you run all these buses around your layout, all these parallel wires, it's like a giant antenna that's just saying, hit me.
Right.
And, but I know it also got into my LocoNet because it came back and fried my layout laptop. My layout laptop, it came in through, there's a little box you tag onto your USB called a Loco buffer. And my Loco buffer, it blew the case off of it. It's a 2-piece case and then a circuit board on the inside. Blew it apart. Found the pieces at 3 different places in my office. The laptop wouldn't power on. And when I replaced the laptop, I found that the docking station that I had to connect my displays and stuff, that was shot too. But where that laptop was plugged in was on a dedicated circuit that was on in the office. I had 2 other laptops plugged in and 4 large displays, and they were all fine. So it came in through that LocoNet to the Loco buffer, fried that laptop from there, and it didn't get anything out.
Wow. So it's just kind of hit and miss almost. It comes in and whichever wire it decides to travel down and stuff like that, and jumps around. And of course the whole thing happens in a blink of an eye.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Boom. And that's it.
But like I said, the insurance has been phenomenal.
And what was when you said Erie Insurance? Is this the parent company is Erie Insurance, or it's a local guy that's Erie Insurance?
I guess they're out of Erie, Pennsylvania.
Right.
They're a property casualty carrier, so they do car insurance, home insurance.
Yeah.
So all that stuff.
Do you know how you found them?
When I first got out of college, I had a roommate in an apartment, and I had to get insurance, and I said, "Who do you use?" And he pointed me to them, and I've had them ever since. So
that's a very good recommendation for you.
About time I get some money back. Now we have them for auto too, and they've been great there too. But like this thing, we had a $250 deductible, and they paid everything else in full.
Really?
It's been great. Like I said, I got some upgrades. And I had stuff that was 20 years old. The throttles, I had 4 throttles that got fried. And like what Ken McCory said to me is, you don't need that many throttles anymore. People bring their own, or they bring their phones. All you need to do is provide a Wi-Fi. He goes, I'd take that money and go get a TCS wireless throttle.
Yeah.
Or I'm even thinking proto throttle, but I'd try
go.
one. I'd try one, but I'm not sure I'm going to like it.
Everybody wants a proto throttle.
So Jerry, Lionel, can I ask a question?
No.
No.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, sorry. No. Of course.
However, why don't you see if he run the question by him first, and then see if we'll let you ask it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tom.
So Jerry, just a question on your homeowner's policy. Did you have any kind of special writer or anything for your layout or any of that, or was it just all covered under the blanket policy for dwelling and contents?
Yeah, it was blanket. And this was the interesting coincidence that we already had scheduled a meeting with our agent to review our policy because we haven't reviewed it in forever. And we scheduled it before the lightning hit. And then, he was checking in with us, see how we were making out with the adjusters and stuff. And so he came down and, the policy automatically updates for the value, of the home and the property and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's blanket. And I'm like, there's no limits for like model railroad stuff. And he goes, no, why? How much do you have? And my wife was sitting there. And I'm like, oh, shit. I was like, 40,000. And she's like, well, I didn't know you had that much, but she never brought it up again. It's probably more like 60, but but he goes, no problem. As long as the total fits in under what we have covered, we're good. And the other thing that was neat about this policy is when my kids went to college, they didn't have to get renter's insurance because we're covered for up to 20% of our belongings being on the road. So as long as the value of what he had at school was, 20% or less, we were good.
Mm-hmm.
While online, I'm seeing all these other parents saying, hey, who do you recommend for homeowners insurance, or not homeowners, but renters insurance? Didn't need it.
Wow. So the Erie Insurance is in Erie, Pennsylvania, and go ahead.
That's their corporate headquarters. Now they work through local agents.
Yeah. But did you know, Bruce, that who plays in the Erie Insurance Arena in Erie, Pennsylvania?
The Hershey Bears? No.
Good guess though.
The Erie Otters?
The Erie Otters of the Ontario Hockey League.
Hockey League, yes.
Oh,
there you go. And the capacity of the arena is 6,716 for hockey.
There you go.
Now, they were champions, the Erie Otters.
They were a few years back. They've had some high picks come out of Erie.
Very good. Yeah. Somebody. Didn't what's the guy that plays for Edmonton? Didn't he come out of Erie?
He may have.
Connor McDavid.
Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Let me effort that. He may have been an Erie Otter.
And Erie Insurance has a very high Google rating. Very good for you. Good for you. So maybe we'll get them a few customers tonight. Erie Insurance. There you go. All you got to do is Google Erie Insurance, and you are there.
But speaking of hockey, did you see that meme I sent you in Facebook message?
I think probably I did.
Sent it tonight.
Oh, you sent it tonight.
Connor McDavid did play for Erie.
Wow, look at me go.
Yeah, it was right after you sent me the Werby link.
Okay, I don't see it.
Oh, okay. It basically said, will the woman who left her 3 children at the ice rink please come pick them up? They're beating the Leafs 3-1.
Insert crickets here.
Yes. The couple Leaf fans are giving this all its due attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not exactly.
I thought it was funny.
Well, I'm sure you do. I don't think it's funny. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Leaf fan.
I know.
Born and raised. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, anyways, we killed an hour doing that. Thanks for coming out, Jerry.
Yes. Check by with Tom on the way out. He's got some lovely parting gifts for you.
Yeah.
Actually, stop by and see Rusty the bailiff. He's got some papers you need to sign.
Well played.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, I heard 2 or 3 weeks ago when I was listening to the podcast, you were talking a lot about the Lark products backdrops.
Yes.
They're great. I've been using them for years.
How many? Okay, go ahead. I cut you off there, which is very rude of me.
No, that's fine. They have like 7 CDs out or DVDs or whatever they are, and I think I've got 4 of them. But print them on a color printer and cut off the edges and glue them up to your backdrop. They're as economical as it comes.
We
And they look good.
were introduced to Lark backdrops by our buddies Don Iris and Mark Herrick. Don lives in Florida. Mark lives outside, not far from Hartford. Mark's my favorite of those two guys by a mile. Actually, but Don has a boat, so maybe Don's my favorite.
There you go. And he can take out fishing, but he might not bring it back if you keep
Man, I feel bad for you. I think everybody. Oh, that was a question I was going to ask you. While you were talking there, you're saying you were getting a lot of people, were kind of trying to cheer you up. Did you feel like in this particular situation that the fact that you're able to connect with so many other model railroaders through social media, did that give you some sort of impetus or some sort of reassurance to keep going, or did it just make you feel better that there were all these people reaching out to you?
Made me feel better. I don't know that it pushed me to recover. I had to get through that on my own.
Right. That must have been very difficult. That would be very demoralizing.
It took a couple days, and my basement's an absolute mess because underneath the layout doubles as our storage. So we have probably 100 bins down here. So every time I had to go under the layout, I have to move bins, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, just incredibly demoralizing. Yet you chose to keep going and keep. What was the first thing you replaced? What was the one thing? What was it? What was the first thing you replaced where you thought, okay, well, I'm just gonna get started here, and I'll start right here and keep going.
That was the power supplies, the command station, and the 2 boosters. Because I figured, if I found a big snag after that, they'd be easy enough to sell.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you were really right on the edge of the cliff, getting ready to.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. When I saw that Facebook post, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, sell it all off, go join a club.
Wow. I'm glad.
Or just take a tent down to Tom's place.
Yeah. I'm glad you stuck it out then.
Thanks.
I'm very glad you stuck it out because you have a lot. Because you have a lot to add, Todd. Because you're very. I want to talk to you. We need to talk to you too about this CATS thing, which I don't fully understand. I understand what it does. I have no idea how it works. But the CATS is, what does it stand for?
Computer assisted. Geez, I don't know. I call it CATS.
All right. So, but it's,
computer assisted traffic system.
All right. And how did that get started? Because this is what Don Iris uses, and this is what a lot of people use. This is what Dave Ableys uses, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Dave uses it.
Yeah, and this is so that people can be the dispatcher of railroads remotely.
That's not what it's for, but that it can be used that way.
What?
So JMRI, which now is probably 25 years old, started as Decoder Pro, just for programming decoders. And then over time, they started feeding in, adding other features, like the ability to monitor LocoNet for troubleshooting, stuff like that. Somewhere along the line, and I don't know when, but they added Panel Pro, which gives you the ability to create a union switch and signal style board, like Tom's doing, with a diagram of your track work, and then you get all your switch levers and all your signal levers. That was very complex to program initially. Now it's a lot easier than it used to be. More so for people like Tom that have a single/double track mainline. When you get something like on the Pennsy, you've got a 4-track mainline, a full interlocking, has 6 sets of crossovers. The logic involved to program all the if, then, else type of logic to determine if a route can be cleared or not. It's a lot more involved, and eventually I want to get there because I'm modeling the 1950s, and that's what they would have had then. Parallel to that development, Rodney Black developed CATS, and it originally was called Crandic Automated Traffic System because he wrote it specifically for one railroad called the Crandic that he operated on. He wrote it for that layout. And then, people saw it, liked it, they wanted to adapt it to their layout, and so on and so on. They changed the name, and now there's a ton of people using it. But what it does, you have to have JMRI installed and it is like adds another layer on top of JMRI that you don't have to do the programming that you do in Panel Pro. But the caveat is it's more of a 1990s style dispatching system where the track diagram itself, there's no switch levers or signal levers anymore. It's just a live track diagram. If you want to throw a pair of crossovers, you click on the crossover on the diagram, and it throws those switches. And then when you want to give a signal to a train out in the field, you literally like right click on the signal and turn it to green, and it'll open up the whole route until it gets to the next signal, and it will make the signals look that way on the layout as well. But it's too modern for me as a purist to be a 1950s layout. But you can set that up in minutes compared to the hours that you'll put into Panel Pro. Rodney Black, go ahead.
I was just going to say to Tom, which one? What are you doing, Tom? Are you using? So Crandic is, what do they call Crandic now? CATs?
Computer assisted traffic system.
So what are you using, Tom? Because you've been doing this for your layout, haven't you? Did Tom leave? Did Tom get mad and leave because we weren't talking to him enough?
I don't know. Maybe he went on mute. Oh, hang on.
All right.
He says he'll be right back.
He's using Panel Pro. I can answer that for him.
Yeah, so he's using Panel Pro on all his CTC stuff.
So is there some place to learn how to do Panel Pro?
Well, you gotta.
Yeah, the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, the documentation is online, and there is a learning curve to it. But like I said earlier, it's very, very complex when you get to more than 2 tracks.
So
there are a lot of, and I'm sorry I had to step away for just a second if you guys were looking for me, but there are a lot of clinics out there on the internet. One place that has a really good series of clinics is rrcircuits.com. They're the company that makes a lot of the components that support JMRI, like block detection, signal drivers, switch machine drivers. They make the loco buffer that Jerry mentioned that connects a computer to the loco net so that you can control the layout with the computer. And so Dick Bronson, the owner of RR Circuits, he's over the years, he's given a number of clinics on Panel Pro and how to set up some of that logic to drive, for example, automatic block signaling as well as CTC. But, Jerry's right. It is not, it's one of those things that the initial investment of time and the learning curve is huge. But once you get the hang of it, it goes quickly. And and over the years, JMRI and Panel Pro have evolved to be more user friendly. I'll give you an example. On the panels that I have that I'm building for the layout, you basically have a switch lever and a signal lever, and to throw a switch, you move the signal lever and then you press a code button. So in order to build that, you have to build the lever for each switch, you have to build the code button for each switch, and then you have to build the logic to, if it sees the lever moved, then throw the turnout, turn on the lamps, all of that stuff. Now what you can do, if you've built it for one switch, you can simply copy that logic for every other switch, and you just need to update some variables, and it'll work the same way. I did that the other night. I added a pair of switch levers to control an interlocking, and where the stuff on my first panel took me a couple hours and a couple nights, these were done in the space of 20 minutes. So it is a lot of time. It's not for the faint of heart, but once you get over that learning curve, it kind of you move faster and you can get things done pretty quickly.
So would you say, Tom, that it's once you find the videos and kind of learn it and get it going a bit, it's pretty user friendly once you understand it somewhat?
Yeah, I think it is. Now, okay. I think the thing that helps is to really be, if you're going to do something like this, it's helpful to be grounded in the prototype. So, you want to do some research and homework first. You want to get Uncle Dave's book. There's also a really good book by a guy named Brian Solomon, the book is called Railroad Signaling.
That is an excellent book.
This is the Bible if you want to learn about all types of railroad signaling, from the earliest stuff up to current. And so if you ground yourself in prototype theory and practices, and you understand like how CTC actually works. In other words, it's not just throwing switches willy-nilly. The system is built with safety in mind. So before it throws that switch, it's going to make sure that, there's not a train running over it, and there's not a signal cleared over that switch. So there's all these checks and balances built into the relays and everything that are on the prototype system. And you're able to simulate that through all of these if-then statements that Jerry, that Jerry mentioned. So, but if you understand the prototype, it makes it easier. But it's still, it's still a lot of work. It's not.
Are you glad? Are you glad you did it?
Oh, heck yeah!
Yeah, they're cool. Those panels are great. And to put it in perspective, Tom, I mean, you're working with 1 and 2 tracks. I've got a 4-track interlocking that also has the lead into the yard. So if I'm on number 1 track and I got to cross all the way over to 4 and beyond that into the yard, what you're thinking of that code switch is checking to make sure there's no train on that 1 turnout and that there's nothing signaled against it. I have to do that for 3 additional tracks and 2 additional sets of crossovers, all by pushing 1 code button.
So when you decided to model the PennZR, and what area are you modeling?
Lewistown, Pennsylvania. It's about halfway between Harrisburg and Altoona.
Okay. So when you decided to model the Lewistown, Pennsylvania area of the PennZR in the 50s, did you say to yourself, now what would be the most difficult and the hardest railroad to model? Is that kind of where you went?
Like I said, I've always been a hobbyist programmer. So it was one of those things where I said, I'll figure it out when I get there, because I know I can do it. I've already made graphically I can make the panels, and I can even make them throw, but I had never developed the interlocking logic. But I can do that. In the meantime, I get away with it with CATS, because CATS is so easy to implement. And then the other part of that is, when I have people over to operate, a lot of people are uncomfortable with a USNS machine. I'll actually have the capability to say, do you want a modern point and click panel, or do you want a USNS purist panel?
So what is what is USNS?
That's what Tom's doing, the Panel Pro.
Union Switch and Signal.
Switch and Signal. We don't do acronyms here. I thought you wanted to be a super fan, and you don't even know that. Oh man, we were so close,
and yet so far away.
Oh,
missed it by that much.
If that had just been a half an inch to the left, that would have been in the net.
So the other thing I'd like to mention about CATS, Lionel, as I said, Rodney Black was the publisher of that, and for many years there was a mailing list on Yahoo Groups called CATS Users, and Rodney was not the moderator of that list. Somebody else ran it, and then they kind of disappeared, and then Yahoo closed down all those groups. So I reached out to Rodney and said, would you mind if I started a new list on Groups.io? So if anybody's interested, you can go to groups.io and type in CATS-users, CATS-USERS, and we've resumed the mailing list over there. And not only that, Rodney is very active with troubleshooting for people. And
so you find a group. So what do I got to type in?
So if you're at groups.io,
yeah,
type in CATS-users.
Like dash as in dash?
Hyphen.
All right, dash, and then just hit search.
Users, and then hit search.
The group's CATS uses JMRI for accessing
Yep.
the layout hardware and provides logic for tying the hardware pieces together.
Yep.
194 members, 139 topics. Last post October 27th. Wow, look at that. Perfect.
So I'm a moderator, and Rodney himself is a moderator. He provides a lot of support. The one thing we've also done is there's a library on there of how-to videos where we'll do anywhere from 5 to 9 minute segments of how to do a certain task, and we record it, and then anybody can access those at any time to review exactly what we're doing.
So how do you access the videos?
Down, if you're at the groups, you're not going to get to it if you're not a member.
Oh, I have to
be
be a member.
to start with this.
Yeah.
Are you
If you're
a member? Are you a member, Bruce?
No, I am not, because I'm not using JMRI.
Okay, well, you don't have to.
Not true. I'm using Panel Pro a bit to program my Pi Sprogs.
Your what frogs?
My Pi Sprogs. My
right. Okay. So
you have one of those.
You
do. The other thing we do in that group is we do Zoom meetings, and we've had a number of meetings that we recorded where somebody will present a more in-depth topic. Like we had somebody talk for 2 hours about signaling logic on the prototype. We had a guy, a little bit, not CATS directly, but we had a guy talk about applying prototype railroad communications to the model, talking about telephones and stuff like that, which is really informative. The other thing we do is we have a monthly open mic Zoom session on Saturdays. We run it all Saturday afternoon. That it's not unlike the AML Wednesday nighters.
right.
Anybody can join. There's no guarantee there's going to be somebody there that can help you, but more often than not there is, and Rodney usually shows up.
That's what we need. That's what we need on the AML or Patreon chat, virtual chat every Wednesday night is open. We should once a month. It should be open mic night.
There you go.
I don't know if Mike would like that, but we can ask him.
Yeah.
Cut down on the chatter.
Yeah, exactly. So Tom, why don't you use CATS?
Because the era that I'm modeling is, the 1970s. The USNS and the GRS machines were still in use, and CATS is what CATS looks like is a modern, CRT display, like a computerized monitor display.
Okay.
That would be appropriate for, the 90s forward. So I'm trying to stay true to my era.
It's like a make work project.
No, it's
Well, no, but I mean, not using CATS is more complex.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
There's no doubt, but it's. I mean, a big part of what I enjoy about the hobby and about the prototype is signals and how they work and all of that. So, I knew from the moment I knew that I was going to build a large layout, I knew I wanted to have a signal system from the very beginning.
Right.
Just because I've always been fascinated by railroad signals. And so, I mean, yes, it's a challenge, but to me, it's no different, from a challenge or a skills perspective as learning how to build a Craftsman structure kit or learning how to build a resin freight car. It's just one more skill to learn, one more thing to learn about and practice and get good at.
Sounds
Like
right.
laser cutting and 3D printing.
So that's what.
Yeah.
But that's what Dave Ableys is using is the CAT system.
Yes.
Right. Because he's modeling the 90s and he can get away with it.
And like I said, mine's a stopgap.
Your CAT system is a stopgap?
Yeah, it's just to get me by until the layout's up and running. I start operating, and then I can be building the Panel Pro stuff in the background.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can have the two. And this book that we were just talking about, Railroad Signaling, was first printed only in 2010.
Wow.
Yeah. Brian Solomon is one of today's most accomplished railway historians. He has authored more than 30 books about railroads and locomotive power, and his writing and photography have been featured in the world's top rail publication, Trains, Railway Age, Passenger Train Journal, and Rail News. He divides his time between Massachusetts and Ireland. How cool is that? Publisher was Voyeur Press. First edition, February 15th, 2010. Paperback, 160 pages. I guess we can't really say all this with Uncle Dave around, but he's not here, so we can just keep on. And if
what he doesn't know won't hurt him.
Yeah, what he doesn't know won't hurt him. And Rich, don't be telling him about this. The hardcover is $224. The paperback is $112. And you have that book, do you, Rich?
What?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's out of print, and that's what people are selling it for.
Which one's that one?
This is the Railroad Signaling. Who said they had that book? One of us said.
I have that one.
I have it.
Yeah, and I bought it on Tom's recommendation.
Tom.
And I paid, trying to think, mine's a soft, I'm not sure mine's
Price on the back is $25 American, 32 Canadian.
Wow.
Yeah. I
this is on Amazon.
Yeah, you probably get it less.
Third-party seller.
Yeah. Yeah. It says there's 9 used from 5108, and so, but it's out of print, I guess. Yeah. So the more popular it becomes. And why did you buy it, Bruce?
Because Tom recommended it.
Well, why are you building a big signaling layout?
Oh, because I've always been interested in signaling. What's the name of it again?
Railroad Signaling by Brian Solomon. Well, if you bought it, then why don't you know it?
It's on a shelf over somewhere.
Did you even look at it?
I did, and I was most impressed by it.
Oh, okay. What other books have you bought on Tom's? So when did Tom recommend this book to you? Like when were the you two guys chatting?
Because it was in response to something I said. And Tom said, well, and I said, oh, okay. And then I got the book.
Do you remember what
Railroad Signaling, there's piles of them on books starting around the $22 mark, going up to $50.
Where's this?
abebooks.com.
Abe, as in AB?
abebooks.com.
abebooks.com.
Yeah.
I think we were talking
2720, there's a couple plus shipping.
Okay. Well, here's
a hardcover at $15.83, $22.70. So
okay. Well, all I did was just put in Railroad Signaling Brian Solomon, and that's
yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Abe Books. All right. I'm going to search. I'm going to type in. And so this book is not that old. And how did you find it, Tom?
2003.
Oh,
I had known about it. I forget how I first heard about it, but I had known about it for a while. And once I decided to get serious about learning about this stuff, I took the plunge and bought it.
So here's new hardcovers on this Abe Books for there's a new hardcover. It's $51. And how come we've never heard of this guy? This hobby is ridiculously large. And you know what it is? Like, this hobby is just everybody been sitting in their basement, not connecting to any. I just got an invite to the Indie. It's a convention. Let's see. Evidently, the word is getting out about the Indie Junction 20, Annapolis, Indiana. Posted a link to the website on the Fans AML Facebook on October 25th, my son. Wow. Look at this. The convention is being hosted by 3 NMRA regions, Midwest, North Central, and Mid-Central, and the RPM Conference, formerly known as Chicagoland RPM Group. I didn't know they changed it. We think we've put together something that makes the best features of the NMRA National Convention, a National Narrow Gauge Convention, an extended NMRA Region Convention, and an RPM meet wrapped up into a less expensive package than the norm.
Wow.
We'd like to get the word out to an even wider audience, so maybe an interview with the leader of the group, Scott Kremer, Kremer, former president of the North Central Region Marketing Group, if Scott thinks he needs.
That's an interesting mix, because the NMRA, excuse the term, but always been kind of at a snooty level about judging at those things, and the RPMs are the opposite. They don't do any judging.
Yeah, I know.
Be interesting to see how that plays out.
It will be interesting.
The NMRA has been involved in a lot of RPM meets, so
they have.
They have.
Oh, okay, if you say so. Imagine this podcast was such a. It needs somebody far more qualified than me. I was doing some online racing a week or so ago, and I got into a corner a little too hard, and I ran into a guy, and he was quite upset, and I didn't blame him. And he says to me, "What were you doing?" He says, "What did you do?" And I said, "Well, I got about halfway around the turn, and then I ran out of talent."
There you go. You're trying to use the 8 wheels are better than 4.
Yeah,
it didn't work so well.
What else should we talk about with you, Jerry? Oh, I know what I wanted to talk to you about. Your public service announcement for the AML.
Yeah.
What was that about? When did you do that? You are like the AML. You are like a fanboy of the AML. You were so close to becoming a super fan there. We almost did it tonight. Oh man, it was close.
So my daughter, who's in the one video, she's been begging me to go tubing with her on the Yellow Breeches Creek, which is a very, very popular tubing and kayaking creek near us. And I finally broke down and said I'd go along. That was back in July, June, something like that. And I took my GoPro with me specifically to do a PSA.
Yeah, I like that. That was cool.
I flubbed it up the first time. Then I'm like, you know what? When we get to the end, I'll have them shout it too. So we did the moderately adequate by 6 out of 10, and we all shouted river rats.
Yeah, exactly. Yellow Breeches Creek is also known as some other kind of creek. So anyways, so carry on with the story.
So then in the end of August, we had a mini vacation. Some friends of ours, the family has a condo down in West Palm Beach. And so I packed up my snorkeling gear, and I took a lot of footage underwater. Saw some enormous amounts of marine life. It was really great. But I'm like, hey, I could do another PSA. So that's when I did the snorkeling one.
That was pretty ingenious.
I mean, I really gotta try everything now that we're in loophole status for for super fans.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that loophole thing. Well, I'm telling you, I don't know if we've got a guy that's had his layout fried and almost quit and was standing on the edge of the cliff. And then be honest. You said to yourself, if I can stick this out and get this thing back up and running, that might be the key to getting me into being a super fan. So maybe I'll stick with it.
Well, even Rod Diary said he gave up after 5 minutes, but he came back. Now here's a guy who got blown up by masses of electricity, and he came back or stayed in.
Yeah.
So
it all went into the flux capacitor.
Yeah,
there you go.
How about
18 gigawatts? Holy!
Yeah. What about this, Tom? What about later? We should gather the AML crew, and we'll run his name up the flagpole and see what happens.
I would. I'd be all right with that.
Okay. All right.
Well, we got 4 or 3 of them right here.
Yeah, we do. But we still got.
We need to.
You're the benevolent dictator.
I'm the evil overlord.
Yeah, but
so
we do need to. As much as I would vote for it, but we do need to run it by Kelly because they'll be like, oh,
yeah, if Kelly's not part of this,
you didn't include me.
Yeah. Just tell them we knew we agree and call it.
No, you can't. You got it.
We tried to get you. You weren't
can't. You got it. And Kelly's out there tooling around with his trailer that's overloaded while he's screaming out the window, "I'm the safety officer at the Medford Railroad Park."
Yeah, and riding you up for 7 miles an hour.
Yeah, and the tires on his trailer are like almost flat because he's got so much weight in the thing.
I remember I had a similar story to that many years ago when I was involved with Reading Tech. We were replacing the windows on one of our passenger coaches with new glazing to make them compliant, and we had to order. It was several hundred panes of glass from a local glass shop, and they came on a pallet in a big crate in a pallet, and I borrowed my girlfriend's father, my girlfriend at the time. Her dad had one of these big old vans. Like a van, and we put that thing, we put the crate in the back of the van, and I mean the springs on that thing were compressed, tight as a drum. I don't know how we made it to the station with these things in, but yeah,
exactly. That's like one time not that long ago. I was bringing the load. They have in Florida. They have this Zephyr Springs water, which I absolutely love. It's great bottled water. So I got the brilliant idea. For some reason or other, I had gone to Florida. I had driven to Florida by myself, and I was driving back by myself. So I got the brilliant idea I was going to load up the old SUV with, like 20 cases of this water because it was just me and I get about halfway to Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm thinking, man, my car is not driving very well. It's kind of like all over the road, right? And I couldn't really get any speed, and the thing would start weaving back and forth. And I thought, it can't be just this water at the bottom. So then I shifted all the weight, moved some of it up, and then the car drove perfectly. I'm thinking, wow, it's just like being in NASCAR. You move your weight around, and
That's it.
You get better cornering.
62.4 pounds per cubic foot's nothing to sneeze at.
Exactly. What else should we talk? Jerry, have we covered everything?
I got one more thing for you.
Oh, okay, good. See, now let's bring that up at the meeting because we like that when the guest comes with
spontaneity and they come prepared.
Yeah, they come prepared. They've got subjects and things they want to talk about. We really appreciate.
I have a new product line idea for you.
A new product line.
A new product.
Well, hang on now. You be careful because if this involves more work for us, we're not keen on work.
I think it's a simple adjustment on an existing product with a whole new market.
Okay.
So,
all right.
looking at Springfield in a couple of months, and I broached the idea to my wife about going along because she likes hockey and whatnot.
Right.
She's concerned about there being enough to do for the spouse of the modeler, and
right.
I think what is really needed, with apologies to Kaylee and Michelle and a few of the others, you need to come out with a parallel set of shirts that says "A Modeler's Wife." I'm sorry, I just had to say that.
So close. So close.
I'm still trying.
Just a bit outside.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. The Toronto
you were almost in, Jerry.
Yeah.
Almost in, ranging off the goalpost, and then she's down the ice.
You had it in the palm of your hand.
Just like my golf game, always a bit of a slice.
First the Toronto Maple Leaf thing, and now this.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry, I am glad you kept going.
I made a permanent note on the whiteboard. By the way.
Perfect. Good idea. I'm very glad that you decided to stick it out in the hobby because I think you got a lot to add. And I highly recommend people go to penzyrr.com because it's an excellent website, and it's not just about the Pennsylvania Railroad; it's about all things model railroading, and that's important. And I'm just glad I'm so close, man. That was just I would have been absolutely freaking devastated. Like I would have just been like, oh my God, you're right. The key there was if all those tortoises had been fried.
Yeah.
Or half of them had been fried, it would have been like, because then you would have had to check each one. And
yep.
Holy mac. It was bad enough what you had to go.
But I appreciate the support, and I hope you guys make it up here for Tom Stock.
I'd like to.
It's in the plans. We don't know the exact itinerary, but it's definitely, it's on the list.
Yeah, because
you got him in the 1 a.m. Friday mornings time slot, don't you, Tom?
I think we were able to fit him in around 3.
Oh, okay.
Because Tom has absolutely promised us 100% he's going to get us on the Reading and Northern Bud cars.
Yep.
got that call scheduled, huh?
Hey, what do you think it's going to... We were talking the other night I think that was on Viewer Mail we were talking. What do you think it'll cost to rent the 2 Bud cars for a day, Jerry?
I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, me neither. I'm thinking it can't be much more than $3,000 because otherwise nobody's going to do it.
The problem's going to be is if that's a regular running day. Well, now you were talking about doing it like Thursday, weren't you?
Thursday, yeah, we're going to do Thursday.
Yeah, that should be doable because my initial thought was, well, they're not going to want to close out from the public to want it. But yeah, if it's on a day when they normally don't run, as long as they can find a crew.
Yeah, exactly. And we got a guy that can run.
You got a couple guys.
Yeah, we got a couple. We got full-time railroaders. We got guys.
Here, hold my beer.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What do you think?
It's not that hard. You just pull the lever and it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and follow the lights.
Right.
It's the stopping.
Blow the horn at crossings, and what could possibly go wrong?
It's the stopping that's the problem. You still got to slow down for the corners. I think that's it. I think we covered it. I don't know whether this is a segment or an episode. You know what we should do is do both endings and then see where.
Oh, there you go. And then you can spin the wheel and decide which one it's going to be.
Yeah.
There you go.
Ah, that's why you're the evil overlord.
Yeah. We need the sound of a spinning wheel now. All right. Yeah, that was good. Do that again.
Oh, bankrupt. Sorry.
Tom, would you like to give out our email address?
Oh God.
Okay, don't then if you don't want.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's not that I don't want to. I just
it sounds like you sure don't want to.
You know what? I don't want to.
Do I have to really? You know, like, that
I don't want to
sound like yes. By geez, Jinky, yes, I'd love to do it.
I don't want to screw it up.
Jinkies, he says. Jinkies, I'd love to do it.
Oh, Mr. Cartel.
Yeah, Jinkies.
I got one.
We didn't ask you though.
Yeah, we haven't asked you.
We don't care what you have.
The guy had his layout literally exploded. Let him do it. Jeez.
You know what, Jerry?
The email is a special thing. We just can't let every Tom, Dick, and Harry
exactly
do it.
You know what Jerry reminds me of, Bruce? This is a hockey analogy.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a late season game that your team needs to win.
Yeah.
And they're down 2-0.
Yeah.
And then they get back and they actually tie it up, and then your goalie lets one in.
Yes.
Then they tie it up again, and your goalie immediately lets one in.
Yeah. And then Kenny Linsman gets on there, annoys the hell out of you. And,
yeah. And then you get ahead, and then your goalie lets one in, and it's like, oh my God, buddy, if you could just stop a couple of these, it would be perfect.
Yeah.
Send in the Hanson brothers.
Yeah, send in the Hanson brothers. Bruce, can you give out our email address, please?
By Jinkies, yes, I can, Lionel.
Jinkies.
Jinkies.
I wonder if Snookums.
Gee Willikers, yes.
I wonder if Snookums.
Gosh, geez, darn. Yeah.
I wonder if Snookums is listening.
We'll find out that Snookums, if you're listening, please send us an email. You can get a hold of us at our email address, which is modlerslife@gmail.com. That's modelers with one L, modelrslife@gmail.com.
And if you don't want to be bothered writing down the address that Bruce so wonderfully gave you.
I will be crushed if you don't do that, but there's an easier way, because I know a lot of you like an easier way.
If you go to our website, amodelerslife.com, and scroll down just a little bit, there'll be a picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state. And all you got to do is click on his picture, and boom, everything's done for you. All you got to do is put in your title and fill in your text, and you get yourself an email. And we love email, and we're getting tons of email. And it's
love emails.
They make for great
emails.
shows.
Are very entertaining. And it doesn't matter if you have a good comment or a bad comment. Just let us know what you think.
Positive or negative, we just want to hear them. We just enjoy hearing from our fans, positive or negative. We want, actually, if you've got criticism, let's have it, because maybe it'll improve the show. Not likely, but you never know.
On the other hand, it wouldn't be that hard, would it?
Yeah. And the other thing, hey, you know what's exciting now is...
what's exciting now?
Midwest Model Railroad has...
Midwest MRR.
Has redone their website. They've rebuilt the website. And it's really slick now. And it works really well. All you got to do is just go up there. And so you go to Midwest Model Railroad. And our buddy Stephen Atwell, who has very kindly been the guy that has made it all the T-shirts, mugs, hats, hoodies, everything accessible for folks. If you go to Midwest Model Railroad, which is midwestmodelrr.com. You know, the one thing that annoys me the most when I'm listening to these and I have to edit them is when I repeat something. Oh my God, that just annoys the living.
Do you repeat stuff?
I do. I just did that there. I just said Midwest Model Railroad about 3 times, and it irritates.
So what's the website again?
MidwestModelRR.com. But if you go ahead, somebody.
I was going to say, I bought some stuff from them recently due to my lightning strike. So they were a benefactor of my damage, and the stuff came very quickly and complete, and I'm the reason why some of their Digitrack stuff is out of stock.
There you go. Everybody's struggling to get stock. So anyways, if you go on their website, it's new and improved, and you scroll all the way to the right, and it says right there AML, and you click on AML, and it opens up into a wonderland merchandise for the Modeler's Life podcast. It's really cool. It's really good. The
Indeed it
website
does.
works really well. It's much faster and very slick. So kudos to those guys. I think that's it, isn't it? I think we covered it all.
All right, so we're got to go with the 2 alternative endings. It's like one of those novels. You kind of pick your own ending and see where it goes, right?
Yeah. The alternate end. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's. Was that what was that for Saturday Night Live?
That was John Lovitz from
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that's a ticket.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
So already
Again, we're getting back in the old stuff, so you know who's gonna be upset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rich is going to be upsetting.
He's gonna come and take my fire extinguisher away.
That was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool visit that you had from him, eh? And then I saw a picture. You had another visit from Kaylee. And
we had Kaylee, Lou Papineau, and Bob Cronin, and Blaze Veece. I think VECE is his name. He was a new acquaintance. Kaylee, Lou, and Bob had been here a couple years ago, but there was a lot that's changed since they were here last. So they were on their way to the Mid-Atlantic Regional Convention. So they were out rail fanning, so they stopped by.
Wonder if they made it to Howard Zane's.
I don't know.
That's an experience.
So anyways, yeah, so they stopped by and had a visit with the layout, which is cool. And it's really cool how you have all these AMLers stopping by. Okay, Jerry, are you ready? What you have to say is happy rails to you.
I got it.
Okay. Well, Jerry, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life, and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
happy rails to you.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of A Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late-night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
So, Jerry, are you ready?
Okay.
So remember. Well, now, if you guys are going to interrupt me, we can't finish the show. Are you ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
So remember, A Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
Whole house surge protectors.
whole house surge protectors. But that's a thing. That's not a...
It is, but I had to tie it in with the lightning.
Ah.
Oh, man. I sliced it again.
Yeah. I don't know. Bruce, it has to be a people, right?
Well, I would assume so, because
Yeah,
they're
it's
the
not
only
in
ones
it.
who can really answer.
Yeah, it's not inanimate objects.
No.
All right.
Yeah. Don't you agree,
It has
Tom?
to be a humanoid
Yeah.
or an
Don't you,
android of some sort. You know, cats and dogs, no, but
no. Don't you agree, Tom? It can't be an inanimate object.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
Yeah, man.
because not too many surge protectors going to say anything when you stick a microphone in its face.
Jerry's score sheet looks like a 14-inning playoff game.
Yeah, it does. When they got all the substitutions in the 8th inning and nobody knows who's playing where anymore, and there's one guy left on the bench.
I know. It's like so. I can't tell now if he's going to be a super fan or not. There's so many. I got so many notes on this thing.
Yeah. See, that's why I started using 4 different colors of ink to make my notes. Then you can kind of follow and go, look at that. Yeah.
Actually, you know what I was thinking today? I was talking to our buddy Bernard Helen, who sold over 200 Little Lionels. And that's what I was going to tell you guys. I got a text. I know this is old. This is old news. But the thing the one thing about the AML network is we like to try to bring you the current news as far away from when it happened as possible.
Exactly. We're like a history program.
Yeah, we're more like the History Channel. Yeah,
the AML History Channel. Yeah,
and we're gonna
on this day in AML history.
Yeah, that's it. What was I going to tell you? Oh yeah. So, anyways, I got a message from Tony Cook today, and the dude on his show. You know what's neat this week?
Yes.
He had a little Lionel, and he was talking about the little Lionels on his show.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, where'd you hear it from?
Somebody posted it somewhere. That the appearance was made by little Lionel.
And so I got to find this text from Tony. So
I got mine.
Well, good. He says one can only assume that it could be this season's Cabbage Patch Doll or Tickle Me Elmo.
Maybe there'll be a Christmas rush on little Lionel.
Yeah, there you go.
The Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah, the Teddy Ruxpin. But I'm more excited about next year's when we get to do Bruce the Moderately Agitated Mailboy.
No, that's great.
Sir. Sitting on milk crates and a pillow.
I think I'm strongly considering putting little Lionel standing outside on the street corner outside the Nighthawk Cafe.
Oh,
there you go.
That
Beautiful.
Would be cool. That would be cool. That would be a cool shot.
So, Tom, I wasn't on yet when you were talking about that earlier. Fantastic job on that. And I was all ready to pull the trigger to get that. And I'm like, Tom beat me to it. And we're only an hour apart. I can't do it now. So I ordered that Satriel's meat market model. You've seen that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from the Sopranos.
Sopranos. Yeah. So I got a Sopranos thing going.
Well, who made that kit?
Company is called Action Hobbies. They're out of Canada.
Oh, okay, cool. Satriel, yeah.
But Satriel's was the one place they hung out in the series. So I just need to find some figures that look like Tony and Sal and Paulie and all them.
All right. Are you ready, Jerry? Are you ready? Actually, on the other side, I'm making another note on the score sheet. If he hadn't have screwed up the ending, we wouldn't have had all this extra conversation.
There you go.
Yeah. So sometimes it's good to be a screw up.
Hey.
So are you ready?
Model my whole life after it.
Yeah. Are you ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
So remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
Pennsylvania Railroad modelers.
That was perfect.
There you go.
There you
go. That's it.
Was that tough?
Yeah, exactly. Was it that hard? Come on now, Jerry.
I had to study.
Yeah, you had to study. You ran out of talent. What happened?
Yes.